and get information out in a timely manner and the correct way, you will get what you need, and people understand how to react and get heard. But a lot of times the information is not given. So how can you be involved with what's going on? Everybody needs to be equally served and represented. And I'm here to serve everybody in Ward 7, whether who they are and what they are. Quality of life serves everybody, and that's what we're here to do, to make sure the quality of life is serving everybody in Ward 7, not in Ward 7, but in our nation capital.
I appreciate that question. One of the things I've been saying on the campaign trail is what separates me from the other candidates in the race. Just check out our DNA. You'll find that I've been involved with very productive, very effective initiatives, programs, and organizations throughout the last more than a decade. The reality is we need someone that'll work to move us forward. It's one thing to say what you will do. It's another thing to look at what you've already been doing before you ever ran for anything. So what separates Tom Brown from every other candidate is you can check my record of production and performance and see exactly what I'll do as your Ward 7 council member. But here's the other thing. It's not something that I'm saying I have all the answers and I'm the smartest person in the world when you elect me. I actually will listen to you. I will engage you and we'll collaboratively solve and direct our own solutions, not just something I come up with and you find out about it in the newspaper or on the news. Your needs and issues and solutions will get represented by this person as your council member. Remember, on April 3rd, Tom Brown, I need your vote to turn Ward 7 around and let's move forward.
One thing I do understand is that we do need those votes. We do. But we also have to work collaboratively together. Because oftentimes what happens is the more affluent neighborhoods, their voices are heard, but sometimes the less affluent neighborhoods, their voices are not heard. But the reality is we're going to have to collaborate with one another. We're going to have to listen to one another. Because the reality of it is that sometimes people in 110, 113, 109 may have a solution for those in 95 and 93. We have to understand that we have to work together, we have to collaborate, we have to strategize together to meet the needs of all residents, and that's what I'm going to do. There will be no forgotten people, there will be no forgotten neighborhoods, there will be no forgotten precincts. Everyone will have a say in what happens in Ward 7 with me. I will listen to you, I will hear you, and I will respond with a solution that works not just for one person, but for all of us. Because the reality is, if we get everybody working, then all of our tax dollars will be there working, and we will have the resources we need.
The hallmark of my campaign is that together we can deliver more for our ward. That has been missing for many years. It's not been a togetherness. I can promise you that one thing Bill Bennett does is I bring people together and I get things done. And that's what the beauty of this ward is. You got brilliant people on the north side, on the south side. You got concerned people all over this ward. I convened last year what I called a town hall resources meeting instead of just a town hall meeting where people come and complain about everything. But when we looked at the resources in our ward, we saw wonderful things. We saw people doing great things. The problem is many of them are not connected. So the strategy is to bring people together, see the great work that's going forward. Let's put all of that together. Let's shape this vision and work together. That's who Reverend Bennett is, and I ask you for your support and your participation after the election, and let's bring a great vision to this ward. So much better. Thank you.
Does that from time to time.
I use these all the time, and that means the battery's getting low.
What separates me from every other candidate is that I am the Ward 7 council member currently, and I do serve all of the constituents. Believe it or not, I know persons who are independent, who are statehood green, who are Republican. They've called my office and I've treated them equally. What's so great about, there is a point though that a lot of independents feel they are not a part of the process. Their voice is not heard because they do not take part in the primary elections. And that's not so much true because guess what? As a Ward 7 council member, I have to serve you, and we are We are lucky enough to have civic association meetings, to have ANC meetings, to have other community engagement where their voices are heard. And I would urge everyone to participate in that, because that's what makes the community stronger, and that's what makes your voice heard. Know that when you call my office, and there's no one in here who cannot say that I have not served you. People have told me they haven't voted for me. People have told me what their party was. I'm here to serve. So they do have power in Ward 7. Thank you.
I think that's a great question, Deborah, because there are a growing number of independent, statehood, green, Republicans all over the city. I am happy to say that Ward 7 is a stronghold for Democrats, and I think that's a good thing, because Democrats, in my opinion, are the most progressive of all the parties, and I'm proud to be a Democrat. I think Councilmember Alexander does bring up a good point about the primary. A lot of people would like to see the primary open up. By a lot of people, I mean those who are independents, DC statehood green, in order to have a say, because after the primary is pretty much a lock in DC. That's just how it's been. But I think it's important when you're talking about representing everybody that you stick to your convictions. That's what people want to see. They don't want to see you just support things that the Democrats say you should support. You have to stick to your values. Sometimes the independents, such as David Catania, he proposes good ideas. Or there's a Republican on the council, which there isn't, but David Catania is a good example. He promotes things all the time that are good for the people of the city. You have to be willing to come together and support bipartisan efforts, and that's what I'll do.
Mr. Ford.
Well, I wish I had the statistics on crime in Ward 7. Somebody told me that I should ask a question about crime, and I haven't done that. So we hadn't talked in the last panel. But I do know that we've been talking about robberies a whole lot in Ward 3. And they had a meeting on robberies the other day, and only about 30 people showed up. So I guess it wasn't as important to them as it was to the media in DC. However, I know that they've had 650, as of midweek, 655 robberies in Washington. And I would say I think 49 of them were in Ward 3. I don't know what the number is in Ward 7, or Police District 6, but I would bet there are probably more over here. And I do know that a member of my church said he was at the Exxon over there in Minnesota between Benning and Nanny Helen Burroughs, and somebody stuck him up a couple of weeks ago while at the gas pump. So I guess my question is about crime in the neighborhood, and what is your interest as members of the council, particularly in doing something about it? I know we always talk about it, but obviously robberies in particular are on the rise in this area. Is it something you just can't do anything about? Is there any pressure you can put on the 6th District? Is there anything the police can do? Is it a concern? Maybe it's here like in Ward 3 in reality when they didn't have as many people showing up as the media showed up. But nevertheless, I just want to get your views on the situation, particularly for robberies in the 6th District.
Yes, Mr. James.
Robberies are on the rise. It's a huge problem in Ward 7. They're up 70%. People are targeting smartphones and these electronics. But I think we have to really look at changing the culture in our community. People don't call the police as much as they do in Ward 3 and Ward 7. This whole don't snitch and that type of mentality, it hurts us. I believe we need to promote to our residents that they need to call the police. But it starts with the police working with us. We would like to see more officers on foot patrolling the neighborhood. I've knocked on close to 8,000 doors, more than anyone on this panel combined, and that's what I've gotten from those discussions. I also think you bring up Ward 3. After 2 robberies, Mary Chey was on TV calling for a halt to those robberies. We need that type of representation in Ward 7. We need proactive leadership. That's what I'm
Yes, there is indeed a problem. Robberies are increasing across the city. And yeah, in Ward 7, we're concerned as well. I saw that press conference, and it really is going on not only in Ward 3 and Ward 7, but across the city. As far as Ward 7 is concerned, the police chief and the commander came out to a public safety meeting. And the police chief is proactively working, as well as Commander Conti in Ward 7. They're looking at, we've had a lot of robberies from theft from automobiles, purses stolen. One point is that a lot of juveniles are committing these offenses. And we have to do more to toughen our juvenile laws because they're in and out. It's a revolving door for our juveniles. But we are doing things proactively in Ward 7. They're looking at fencing operations. They're trying to deter children, unfortunately, from getting the jackets and the smartphones and the tennis shoes that they're targeting, which is not a solution. It's just a precautionary measure until they can get things under wraps. But we are paying attention in Ward 7. And violent crime.
I'm sorry, we're going to have to pass to Reverend Bennett. Thank you, Ms. Allen.
How about giving them some jobs? Even the Bible says if a man can't eat, he'll steal. 18 years old to 25 years old, 40 out of 100 kids are unemployed. Now, I grew up in the recreation centers of D.C. Some of those good people were absolute surrogate parents for us. They kept us out of trouble. I say you realize you put your resources in the midst of that. You do everything you can to get your arms around it. And we've been doing that as a church. We've been doing that as a community. I'm not scared of our young people who are out there. They're looking for hope. They're looking for other ways. We've got the resources in order to turn it around, but we've got to have the advocacy and we've got to have the willpower to go get it. I can tell you from a position of strength, most of these young people don't want to be doing what they're doing, but they feel hopeless, as do the residents of Ward 7 in many ways.
We have to understand that fighting crime is a shared responsibility. And I've said it